the bottom of a mother's bag. So I decided to clean up my purse today. As you can see in the clip before, how scary the bottom of my purse looked. Yes, it's a small purse. It's not very big, but it definitely had a lot of junk down there. So I would like to bring up a really good point. I'd like to take a deep dive into our own selves here for a minute, our own lives, our own whatever. So things go on, just like I have regular things in my purse, right? I have my wallet, I have my makeup, I have my little clippers, I have whatever my needs are in there, and then I have extra crap in there that I don't need but stays in my purse for whatever reason, because that's just how my purse tends to end up working, or a child shoves something in there. So sometimes in life, we have our regular responsibilities. We have the extra stuff that people shove on us that we need to do in life. And we have just all these things. And life is always full of stuff, whether it's paperwork, housework, children, husbands, wives, yard work, jobs, career, school, whatever, things you love to do, things you don't like to do but have to do, things that people make you do that you didn't want to do but you did it anyway. All these things go on in life, and life can get so crazy, and we can get caught up in a whole monotonous feeling, and sometimes we can start to feel like life is just driving us. We're not driving life, it's driving us, and we don't have control over it anymore. The days run us. Everything and suddenly our life doesn't become our own, and we feel lost, and we don't know who we are anymore. We kind of got lost in, maybe if you're a mom, you got lost into your children's agenda or your husband's agenda, or you're a man and you're a father, and you get lost in your, going to work, coming home, and making sure there's food on the table, and that's basically all you're doing. Maybe you're a dutiful daughter or a dutiful son, and your whole life is taking care of maybe a parent or a grandparent, or you're just you just become in this mundane cycle, this circle. And you suddenly don't know who you are, and your purpose in life suddenly feels like, you're doing good things, but you don't get that fulfillment. So we're going to dive deep inside everybody's purses today, so to speak. So whatever it is that your responsibilities are that you carry on a daily basis in your purse, those things have to stay in there. But I think it's time to declutter your purse. Yeah, I know, if you're a man, sorry. This is just the analogy I'm using. Wallet, whatever you want to use, but purse, we're going to do purse. So you need to take a look inside your purse. What's going on? What kind of crumbs and crap have you collected that's just taking up space and time in your life? What is it that's deep down there that you have not even addressed yet, that you don't even know how to articulate to anybody? You feel like you don't even know what it is you feel, but you don't feel yourself. Maybe you feel depressed, maybe you feel sad all the time, maybe 80% of the time you feel like, what's the point, and why do I get out of bed in the morning? And if you're feeling this way, it's definitely 100% time to go through your purse and to figure out, okay, what do I've got in here and what needs to come out? So there are things that I carried in there that I like, but I didn't need. And so they got out of my purse. And I got to the point where I couldn't zip my purse up. So I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't zip my purse up. So I went through my purse, and there was some, lip gloss in there that I was like, oh, I never wear this. It's like I wear it once in a while, but not enough to have it be a regular in my purse. So that went out, and then other items went out. And then I, emptied out the whole thing, and I sorted like keep, toss, whatever. And then And then I, got to the bottom and there was all this junk down there. And I was like, oh my heavens, I'm obviously a mom who has kids, who has lots of crumbs. So, and I dumped out all the crumbs. And so in our life, we need to do that. We need to figure out, okay, what is it? So I went through this. There was a couple of years where I finally came to the point where I'm like, I'm just a robot and there's no way out of this. It's just, I have my children's agenda, and then my husband and I have agendas, and then I just have nothing for myself. There was nothing. Like, I didn't make time for doing things that I loved. Like, I didn't even know what I loved anymore. Like, I knew what I loved, but I was so tired. I didn't have the energy to do it. So I finally came to a desperate time in my life where it just like everything just came crashing down, and I was so depressed. Like, it was like, whoa. And nobody knew it because I'm good at putting on a good face, faking it till I make it. Because that's just, I don't like to be the depressed lady in the room. I don't like that. It's not me. It's not who I am. But I was the depressed lady in the room. And I was denying it to myself. I'm just like, Buffy, you need to do something. And in my desperation, I just, I'm a firm believer in God and the help of having the higher power. So I, cried out to God. I'm just like, this can't be just like, I don't want this. If this is all life is, I don't want this, and I'm just like, there has to be more. Something has to change. And so I ended up, just, there was a book that I knew about, and I quickly, got on. I'm like, this book I had read a while ago, it was just the intro. I'm just like, it was a good book. Maybe this will solve my issue. So I went to go find that book, and I found it. And just before I was about to click on it to buy it, because I was so desperate, I'm just like, I'm going to buy this. I don't care what it costs. Underneath that book, there was another book, and it just, the title and the woman on there, I don't know what it was, but I know it was Godsend, as I felt very, very drawn to that book. And I clicked on it and I read just the intro, and I wept the whole way through it. It was just like she expressed every single thing I was feeling that I didn't know how to express myself. It was such a relief, for one, to know that I wasn't alone and I wasn't crazy, that all this, being a mom, you tend to just kind of go through the motions in life. You're running around here, you're running around there, and you literally start to feel like a robot with no purpose other than I'm just the one who does everything that she's supposed to do. And but it was such a relief when I read this book, and I know that God led me to this book. He popped something into my head that I was familiar with, and, inspired me to go find it. And in my trying to find that book, I found what I actually needed. And it was called Declutter Like a Mother. And it was my saving grace. And I didn't even know, like, Ali Casalza, who writes the book, she gave me words. I didn't even know how to express how I felt to other people, because I didn't even know how I felt or why I felt that way. And I felt guilty for feeling the way I felt. Like, I didn't understand. But when I read this book, it was like, oh my gosh, a light bulb went off. And I didn't realize that stuff was the cause of me running around and going crazy. Like, it was the cause of my depression and anger and frustration. And I began to follow this book, and she literally gave me my life back. I no longer felt like a robot. I no longer dreaded going to bed at night, dreading to wake up the next morning. I couldn't wait to go to bed and couldn't wait to get up the next morning. My enthusiasm for life just came back full force. I began to sing and dance randomly, and my children were like, what's up with mom lately? And it was just, she freed me. It felt so good. And it's interesting because I learned a life lesson here, because it wasn't until I reached the desperate moment where I literally was crying out, like, Lord, I can't do this anymore. Something has to change. It was in the depths of my despair that the Lord gave me an out. And, it's funny because sometimes when we go through things, it feels like God has abandoned us, and we're crying out to him, and it's just like, where are you? But what I learned is sometimes God doesn't pull us out until we've learned the thing that he needs us to learn. Sometimes it's when we reach the depths of our despair, and it's like when I'm giving birth. You're welcome for the analogy. So every time when I'm giving birth, I reach that moment when I'm trying to push that baby out, where I finally cry out to God, where I've gone through hours of excruciating, intense pain, and I've reached the point where I can no longer do it, and I'll cry out to God every time. This happens every birth, 6 births every time. God, this baby has to come out now, or I'm choosing to die. I cannot do this anymore. And that is the moment every time when the baby crowns and shoots out. You're welcome. I know it's graphic, but you're welcome. And I feel like sometimes in our life, that is, God needs us to reach a certain point to where we learn a certain lesson, and we understand something so deep, so that when he finally pulls us out of the water, we can help others, that we'll have an understanding that can bless others around us, that gives us a deeper meaning for life. And really, we feel his grace, his love for us all the more. There is so much to be learned. We can reach the depths of despair no matter how far you've gone, how far you've descended in life, in whatever trial you're going through. God will always pull you out, and he'll pull you out when it's time, when you finally understand that whatever it is that you need to understand. And that was a beautiful lesson. Anyway, that's a side note. Back to our purses. Okay, so when you're going through this kind of thing, where you're just like, wow, something has to change, or whatever it is, however you relate to my droning on, I think it's time to go through your purse, and it's time to declutter your purse. It's time to figure out what it is in your life that you're doing that you should still keep doing, and what it is in your life that you should stop doing, and what it is in your life that you're not doing that you should be doing. So those are 3 very important questions that you need to clean out your purse. So to sum it up a little bit, so my thing that helped my life become more and richer and helped me pull me out of my slump was Declutter Like a Mother book. That was and for my sweet mother-in-law, her way, because she was in a slump, but her saving grace was getting more sleep. And for my wonderful sister, hers was ashwagandha. So she realized that she had lots of things going on, and she just felt angry all the time, and she's just like, you know what? I don't like feeling like this. Something's not right. I need to find something. And God put her on a path where she found somebody, I don't remember how she found it, but she ended up coming across the herb or the root or whatever it is, ashwagandha. And she started taking it as a supplement, and it totally changed things for her. So I like to say to people, and like with my older sister, when things go crazy for her, she paints, and that's her way of dealing. So when things go crazy for you, I like to say this: you need to find your ashwagandha. You need to find, your Declutter Like a Mother. You need to find that thing that is your medicine or whatever. So I know I've kind of done videos like this before, like a shortened one or whatever, but this is more of a lengthy one. And I feel like, having more detail to this really helps some people. So anyway, go through your purse of life, find what your ashwagandha is. And as the scriptures say, that we are supposed to, there is a scripture, I cannot quote it exactly, but life should be abundant. It's meant to be abundant. Jesus means for us to have an abundant life. Yes, we're supposed to have struggles. Yes, we're supposed to have trials. Yes, we're supposed to feel pain and anger and disappointments and joy and all those feelings. They're totally normal, totally supposed to happen. But that doesn't mean that we should have to just endure life. Life is meant to be enjoyed. So enjoying life as you are going along your path. So find the things that bring more joy to your life. And yeah, so God bless you all, and go out and clean out your purse, get your ashwagandha going, rock on.